What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We are talking about Emmarauders and what to use for them for Iso-8. I'm going to be doing these for each individual team. So we've got them, Black Order. We've already done symbiotes with Wolverthor. If you guys want to go check out that video. But we're going to talk about each different class with Iso-8, and it's all going to be under a new playlist for Iso-8, where you got the beginner's guides, what classes to choose. There's just going to be a whole playlist of videos on the channel talking about Iso-8 and what to use for different characters. So today we're focusing on these guys. Now, Marauders are very much one of the top defensive teams for War, and that's going to be the primary focus of Iso-8. Now, you can lock this for War. You can set your Iso-8 for characters in War, so that in case you do switch things around in the future, you're trying to play around with things, it will still be locked to what you had previously. That way you don't have to worry about messing up your defenses. And this is very important for something like Marauders, because just how good they are on War defense. So we have 4 characters in the Marauder faction: Mr. Sinister, Strife, Mystique, and Sabertooth. And then we also have Emma Frost, and we'll talk about her as well. Now, for this team, it's known for being very durable, a lot of healing. The clone of Mr. Sinister can really mess up your counters, and that's one of the big strengths that you want to play on with this team. And you can see I've actually got 2 healers on the team. I have Mr. Sinister and Strife. I have Skirmisher on Mystique, and I have Raider on Sabertooth. And if you go over to Emma Frost, you can see that I have Striker on her. And let's start with Striker. Now, if you are wondering about, we'll actually talk about this with Striker here. So with Striker, it allows her to do a bonus attack with her abilities, with targeting someone who's got vulnerable on them, and then the attack is based off of their basic attack. Now, what's important to know is that if you want to know what the ISO attack is going to do, the one thing you need to go to is go to msf.gg and check out the assist counter info for the characters. So you can see right here for Emma Frost, her assist attack will remove 2 positive effects if charged, if not charged, flip 2 positive effects, 2 negative effects on each target. So if she is assisting or countering with this, which means she's going to assist with the Striker ability, she will be removing 2 positive effects if charged, flipping if not. And you go and look at your other characters as well at the same time, and you can see Sabertooth, he's only doing basic damage. Mystique is only doing some damage. Mr. Sinister and Strife, they're all only doing some damage. They're not really doing any kind of bonus effects with their ISO attacks. And that is what you want to go. That's what you want to check out when you're going for Striker. So that's what you have here with Emma Frost. This is why I like Striker on her, because she does this bonus attacks and she's able to flip or remove positive effects on the vulnerable target. Now, one other thing you can do is put Skirmisher on her. This is interesting. Skirmisher, whenever she does her abilities where she cleanses and then throws speed down on the enemy team, or uses the removal of buffs on the enemy team and does a blind, both of those can apply vulnerable at the same time. They're classified as attacks or hits on the target. So you can use both of those on vulnerable targets, and then with Skirmisher, she can remove positive effects or anything. This gets kind of repetitive though with her ultimate, which can remove all buffs from the enemy team. So it's kind of one where that kind of overlaps with that, when it's not as useful, especially at the higher levels. I mean, level 5, there's no point in going up to this level 5 if you already have her putting out that ultimate and already clearing positive effects, though that plus 50% focus is a pretty big deal. So Skirmisher still has its uses, not as good as Striker. I really like Striker with her because of that bonus attack and able to clear or flip positive effects. That's a big deal for me. That's why I'm running Striker on her. Eventually, I'll get this up to level 3. And honestly, you don't need to worry too much about the 5% damage. And honestly, I stop with level 4 with Striker, because you're not really worrying about the damage on her ISO attack. You're worrying about the ability to remove or flip positive effects. So that's Emma Frost. Let's talk about your Marauders. And we'll start with Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister, I think, is pretty much the easiest one to figure out what you want to do with him. If there's one class you're going to throw on him, it's Healer, because he has 2 different healing abilities. Now, the ISO matrix says it only affects active healing abilities. However, that is not true. It is also affecting passives. So if there is passive healing, then Healer is probably going to be a good bet. And you have that right here. On turn, heal 15% of max health plus 5% of max health per Marauder or Emma Frost ally. This will get boosted with the Healer matrix. And then you also have Gene Therapy, which does a team-wide heal. This can also get boosted by the Healer matrix. Healer is very easy to work in with Mr. Sinister. You could also go for Skirmisher if you want to. Striker, again, there's no real benefit of putting Striker on him because that ISO attack doesn't really do anything. Fortifier is okay. I mean, you can buff him up with barrier, but that one's okay. I just like healer. Healer, I think, is the best one. Skirmisher's a really good second option. I wouldn't bother with Raider because he's only got single target attacks. He doesn't have any kind of boost on his crit chance. I would go for healer, then skirmisher, then fortifier, and then Raider, then striker, I guess. Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about trying to do Raider or striker on him. There's nothing that he really gets for running those ISO matrices or matrices. So Mr. Sinister, and then we have Strife. I have healer on Strife, and the reason for this is because he's targeted a lot, and he does move generally fast. He gets the bonus speed bar at the start of the fight here with this. He doesn't have any healing on his own. He gets a lot of regeneration and stuff, but honestly, the fact that he's moving so fast or moving so often, he's got lower speed, but he gets out first, and then Strife is kind of like the brick wall of your Marauder team. So the longer you can keep him around, the better off things are going to be for you. And plus, the more often he can heal himself up, he's more than likely going to be the lowest health character on your team because they have to go through Strife. So he's going to be constantly applying regeneration to himself. He's also going to be healing himself as well. So yeah, healer makes a good option for him. Fortifier, if you have a decent amount of health on him, this one works okay. The thing with, let me pull up the calculator so you guys can see the math here with this. So the math with Fortifier and how this all works out. Let's say, all right, so we've got, let me take a look at his health. We've got 154,000 health on Strife. And let's just say, so we then do 3% of that. He's only put about 4,000 barrier on himself every turn. That's not a lot. Now, if you take him to tier 14, you boost that matrix up a little bit more, he's gonna be closer to 175,000 health. So at that point, he's boosting 7% with a maxed out fortifier matrix. That's about 12,000 barrier at that point. That's a decent amount. That's not bad. So if you have a high level fortifier, if you have level 5 fortifier on him, it does have some benefits there. But healer, otherwise, I think is the best option for him. Striker, again, nothing really with him. It's just bonus damage. So no benefit from that. Skirmisher could work okay. He does a couple attacks. And Raider, he does have the adjacent target attack. His ultimate, that's a long cooldown. Not really anything beneficial from crit chance on him. So healer, then fortifier, if you have a high level matrix on him, I think are the best options. And then we get to Mystique. Now, I have Skirmisher on her right now, but Raider also works really well because of this right here. On a non-cloned Magneto or Mr. Sinister's ally, where is it? Yeah, here it is. On war defense, if Mr. Sinister is an ally, 50% chance to assist on non-attack abilities. If you have the T4 on, this is a 100% chance. She is constantly assisting. This will help quite a bit with the Raider. The problem with Skirmisher is that it's kind of sketchy the way things are working. It seems that if you don't have assist now on the character, it doesn't really work properly. There's weird stuff about this. We're waiting on the FAQ from Scopely to figure out what exactly is going on here. Skirmisher still works, but Raider's a decent one as well because she's assisting so often. We'll talk about sabertooth here in a moment as well with Raider on him. There's a reason for Raider on him, but Raider could be a good second option. Actually, I think probably the best option because of the weird stuff going on with assists and Skirmisher. It's all weird. Raider works really well for Mystique because she's constantly assisting because of that passive, and she's landing quite a few critical hits once you have this matrix boosted up. That's quite a bit of vulnerable. The vulnerable does stack, but the defense down from that does not. So it's still only 10% increased damage taken. But you can use that in conjunction with Emma Frost, consuming stacks with Striker, so you can keep vulnerable on important targets. Raider works really well. Skirmisher also works. Healer, if you want to make your Marauders team quite a bit more durable, healer will work as well. There's no need for Fortifier, and I wouldn't do Striker either. There's nothing there, just damage with her ISO attack. So there's no point in putting Striker on her. Fortifier, she gets evade quite a bit. and honestly, she's kind of squishy anyways, so I wouldn't worry about putting Fortifier on her. Raider and Skirmisher are my top 2 choices. Healer's a good 3rd option. And then finally, we get to Sabertooth, and you're going to put Raider on him for this right here. If Mr. Sinister is an ally, gain plus 20% crit chance. I've got a level 3 Raider Matrix on him, and with that, he's sitting at 30% crit chance. So with Mr. Sinister on War Defense, he's now at 50% crit chance. And also, he has a pretty high chance of assisting as well. This is 100% chance on this T4 as well. So you have the T4s on Mystique and Sabertooth. You're getting a lot of assists from them on War Defense. That's a big deal. So Raider on him makes so much sense. He's already critting half the time with this. And plus he has several attacks that can hit adjacent targets or the whole team. This can chain to 3 to 5 targets. And then his special can hit the main target, the primary target, and adjacent targets as well. Yeah, so honestly, Raider is an easy one to go for Sabertooth. I would go Raider over anything else with him. Skirmisher could work as well. Healer, I wouldn't worry about Healer. He already heals up on his own anyways because of his passive. Fortifier and Striker, no real reason to go for them. Honestly, this team, there's a lot of healing potential with them. You could go full healing on Emmarauders, and if that's just for War Defense, that's pretty cool because they're just healing up constantly. I can't imagine they'd be hard to kill, or at least a little more annoying. But you do have ways of putting heal block out there, and that can negate it. So you want to have some other ways of having this team run. Honestly, Healer on Mr. Sinister and Fortifier, Raider on Sabertooth, Raider possibly on Mystique, also Skirmisher with the weird stuff going on with assist, and then Striker on Emma. That's how I've got my Emmarauders set up for Iso-8. I want to know from you guys, how do you guys have these set up? Do you guys have questions about this Iso-8 class or these classes for them? Let me know down below. As always, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel for more Marvel Strike Force content in the future. And as always, I will see you guys next time.